The Curate's Egg, Ashraf Ali Thanvi, Part 11, Hermeneutics of Caution. Let's have a listen to a quote-unquote scholar.
Some hadith, they take it on face value and they take it, yes, this is the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's where the mistake comes. So there was that many ahadith which were not right or da'if or weak or maybe sometimes mawdu, they come in those books, but that does not mean that that person is a bad person. Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi rahmatullah alayhi, what he did over here was he took hadith from the authentic books of hadith from Sahih Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmizi, and he went over the main subjects of tasawwuf. Like for example, bay'at, how from which hadith bay'at is taken, or also from, like for example, fana fi shaykh, from which hadith the Sufi take these matters. Like group zikr, you can do zikr in a congregation. So and so hadith prove that dhikr or in congregation.
So here we have a modern day Deobandi trying to sell you a bill of goods. He's trying to legitimize tasawwuf and Sufism, and he's trying to sell it to you through the use of authentic, quote-unquote, authentic hadiths and the Quran, I assume. If you read and you take care to look at the 2011 doctoral thesis submitted to the University of Birmingham that looks at the foremost literature, the foremost book of the TJ, Fazail A'mal, you will discover that 56% of the narrations in that book are fabricated, and the verses of the Quran have clear mistakes in them. So these people are not to be trusted for authority in scriptural matters. But the point and the reason that I'm trying to illustrate in this particular episode is the idea that the Sufism they're trying to sell you is not a moderate form of Sufism. It is no less than the Sufism of Ibn Arabi, who was a highly polarizing figure. It even haunted Ashraf Ali Thanvi himself, as Professor Mian states. But let's have a look first at what Thanvi viewed Ibn Arabi's chief matter, his chief theological stance was. It says, Ibn Arabi's mystical theology, this is Imdadullah praising Thanvi. He, Thanvi, has a thorough understanding of this matter of wahdatul wujud, the unicity of existence, i.e. pantheism. Thanvi and Haji Imdadullah thus enjoyed perspectival unison regarding the co-implication of transcendence and immanence. Thanvi fully understood wahdatul wujud. In the footnote, and this is an author that I've quoted before, and it's also in the most authoritative biography of Thanvi, which had the stamp of approval from Thanvi himself by a guy called Ghawri. It states, the stream within this Chishti order of which Imdadullah belonged was especially devoted to the teachings of Ibn Arabi, a Spanish mystic best known for the view that God is the only reality and that this reality continually manifests itself in all of creation. That's Zaman's wordings there. Then we come to the battle for the spiritual primacy in South Asia. So I can't read the whole of this page, but you should pause it and give it a good read and absorb the material and the information within it. So the preeminent Sufi order in South of Asia is the Chishti order, and critics of Deobandis actually try to say that Imdadullah had no spiritual successors that could be legitimate successors, khulafa, in the Chishti order. And then this is what Mian says. This argument, however, contradicts numerous textual documents establishing correspondence between Imdadullah and his Deobandi disciples. People like Nanotvi, Gangohi, Thanvi, and this was work done by Khalik Ahmed Nizami, a Chishti historiographer. it's undeniable what we're talking about here. We have the theology of Ibn Arabi, wahdatul wujud, the unicity of existence, and we have documentary evidence linking Imdadullah. This is something that would haunt Thanvi later on. So here we have Mian describing the music parties that he and Ashraf Ali Thanvi would attend, and he mentions it later on in the book. I will try and post a screenshot where he mentions it again. Yes, here it is. It says, and this is Professor Mian mentioning the music parties twice. It's not me mentioning the same thing again. It's another point in the thesis where he mentions the music party. In Imdadullah, in Thanvi's early estimation, could adjudicate mystical and legal matters, as suggested by the aforementioned anecdote about their participation in Shadhili gatherings consisting of music. And then it mentions later on, Thanvi suppressed his different perspective on this matter and eventually assented to Gagohi's view. At the same time, the spectre of absolute loyalty to Imdadullah would later haunt Thanvi. Thanvi is a haunted individual. Why? Because he held on to the Ibn Arabi theology promoted by Imdadullah. And this is a tension within that madhab, this maslak that we're studying and discussing now. So I want to give you now a quote directly from Ashraf Ali Thanvi. And I don't have the time to read all of this, and this is always the case, I don't have the time to read it to you, but these screenshots, you should paste them and you should read them for yourselves, and you should also absorb what's actually being said here. Here, Thanvi states in this long paragraph, I neither recommend their affirmation, meaning Ibn Arabi's insights, nor do I recommend their refutation. And read it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Read exactly the full context. Here, Ashraf Ali Thanvi is neither recommending wahdatul wujud, nor is he criticizing wahdatul wujud. This is the tension within this movement. This is the tension within the Deobandis and the TJ. They desperately don't want to be associated with Ibn Arabi and Al-Hallaj, but they are inexplicably linked to them. So what they try to do is appropriate tasawwuf, a moderate form of tasawwuf, and underneath it, the underpinnings of it, is this polarizing, pantheistic form of tasawwuf. And I'm not making a value judgment about Ibn Arabi. I have great respect for him as a jurist and a hadith scholar, but in theology, it's quite clear he is a pantheist. Great scholars like Isabel Jeffrey, Muhammad Qasim Zaman, Afifi, Carl Ernst, all of these people, William C. Chittick is another one, all of these people accept him to be a pantheist. And yet this is something that, again, you will only hear about in secret TJ Deobandi circles. They would never make this public to the people. Stay tuned for many more episodes.